Welcome, my name is Fahima Basha and today we will do a practice using SPSS to perform an independent t-test. I'm using a data set from my benchmark geometry scores between the girls and the boys. So I entered the dependent variable, which is the geometry score in this column, and I also entered the grouping variable or the independent variable gender in this column. I set up 0 to be the value for the girls and 1 the value for the boys. To perform the independent t-test, we have to go to the Analyze menu. From the Analyze menu, look for Compare Means, and under Compare Means, look for Independent Sample t-test. The following window will appear, so we need to enter the test variable as well as the grouping variable. In this case, my scores will be the test variables, which is the dependent variable, and my independent variable will be the gender, which should be entered under grouping variable. Next, we have to define the groups. So I set up 0 to set up for the gender for the girls and 1 for the boys. I'm going to hit continue, then OK. SPSS will generate the following output, which contains 2 tables, the group statistics and the independent sample test. Let's first look at the group statistics. The group statistics contains important information such as the number of participants, in this case 9 girls and 17 boys with a total of 26, the mean, the standard deviation, and the standard error mean. It is worth noticing that the mean between the boys and the girls is different, and we can say that the means for the boys is higher than the means for the girls, with a difference of 3.8, which is about 4-point difference. Next, we're going to look at the independent sample t-test. We're going to look at the equal variances and Levene's test for equality of variances. This table contains the F value and the significance, the degree of freedom, the T value, and the P value, the mean differences, and standard error difference, as well as the percent of confidence interval of the differences. This table will allow us to determine if the difference between the means is statistically significant. To do that, we're going to use Levene's test, where alpha is set up to 0.05. The rule is, if the p-value is less than 0.05, the variances are significantly different, and we have to interpret the bottom row. But if the p-value is greater than 0.05, the variances are not significantly different, and in this case, we have to interpret the top row. Let's first look at the p-value. In this case, we have a value of 0.262. This value is obviously greater than 0.05, so we need to interpret the top row. Looking at the top row, we will use the same decision rule, which is Levene's test with an alpha equal to 0.05. We see that the p-value, which is this value over here, is 0.420, which is greater than 0.05. This means that the test is not significant, or in this case, the scores or the geometry scores do not differ significantly, and therefore there was no significant difference in the scores between boys and girls. This ends this video on how to use SPSS to perform an independent sample t-test. Thanks for watching.